That locket belonged to my dead wife. I heard myself say the words before I even realized I had stopped walking. The little girl standing across the street looked up at me, one hand wrapped around a paper bag of flowers, the other resting protectively against the silver locket hanging from her neck. It was barely 5 in the afternoon, but the winter sky over Chicago was already turning gray. Cars moved slowly along the wet street. Storefront lights flickered on one by one. People hurried past with their collars raised against the cold. None of them noticed what I had just seen. I did. I could have recognized that locket from 100 yards away. Claire had worn it almost every day during the first years of our marriage. I had given it to her on our 3rd anniversary. Inside was a tiny photograph of the two of us, taken before money, power, and my name had changed everything. Claire had been gone for 6 years. I had kept her photograph, her wedding ring, and every letter she ever wrote. But that locket had disappeared the week she died. I had searched for it once. Then I stopped searching, because some memories hurt less when you pretend they are finished. The little girl looked no older than 9. Her brown coat was too thin for the weather, and her shoes were scuffed from walking. She stood beside a small folding table covered with handmade flower bundles. There was nothing threatening about her. Nothing remarkable, except for that locket. I crossed the street. My driver started to follow, but I lifted one hand. Stay there. The girl watched me approach without stepping back. Her eyes were cautious, but not frightened. Where did you get that? I asked. She touched the locket. This? I nodded. It belonged to my mom. My chest tightened. What was your mom's name? She studied my face for a moment, as if deciding whether I deserved the answer. Then she whispered, Claire. The street seemed to disappear around me. The traffic noise faded. The cold vanished. For 6 years, I had believed I knew everything about the woman I loved. I knew the sound of her laugh. I knew how she took her coffee. I knew she hated thunderstorms and loved old bookstores. I knew the way she used to say my name when she wanted me to stop being stubborn. But suddenly, standing in front of this little girl, I realized there was something I had never known. Something Claire had taken with her to the grave. I crouched down so we were at eye level. What was your mother's last name? The girl hesitated. Harper. My heart sank. Claire had never used that name after she married me. I looked at the locket again. The silver surface was scratched, but the tiny engraving on the back was unmistakable. C and E, Claire and Ethan. My initials. Our initials. Did she ever tell you about me? I asked. The girl's fingers tightened around the locket. She told me one thing. What? She looked directly into my eyes. If a man named Ethan Callahan ever finds you, don't trust him. For a few seconds, I could not speak. The little girl stood there beneath the pale glow of the street lamp, holding the locket like it was the most ordinary thing in the world. But to me, it was a door I had spent 6 years trying to keep closed. What is your name? I finally asked. Lily Harper. Her voice was quiet. And your mother told you not to trust me? Lily nodded. She said your name only once. Ethan Callahan. Hearing my full name from a child who should never have known it sent a strange chill through me. I glanced at the small table beside her. A dozen bundles of flowers were arranged in paper sleeves. Some were roses. Others were simple wildflowers tied with blue ribbon. Do you sell these every day? I asked. Lily shrugged. When the weather is good. I looked at her thin coat again. And today? She looked toward the darkening sky. Today I needed the money. Something about the way she said it made me pause. There was no complaint in her voice. No request for sympathy. Just a fact. I reached for my wallet. I will buy all of them. Lily immediately shook her head. You do not have to. I know. I placed several bills on the table. She looked at the money, then at me. That is too much. Then keep the change. She pushed the bills back toward me. My mom said I should never take money I did not earn. I almost smiled. Claire had said the same thing. More than once. I looked at Lily carefully. There were little details I had not noticed before. The way she tilted her head when thinking. The faint crease between her eyebrows. Even the way she pressed her lips together when she was uncertain. Claire used to do that. Where does your mother live? I asked. Lily's expression changed. She does not. The words landed softly. Somehow, that made them harder to hear. She passed away? Lily nodded. Last year. I lowered my eyes. 6 years ago, I had buried my wife. Last year, this child had lost her mother. And somehow, the woman they both called Claire was the same person. Who took care of you? I asked. Lily looked toward the end of the street. Nobody for very long. I felt something inside me shift. This was no longer about a missing locket. Lily, where are you staying tonight? She hesitated. Then she whispered, I have a place. I knew that answer. It was the answer people gave when they did not want someone to know they had nowhere safe to go. I stood and looked toward my driver. He was still waiting beside the black SUV. Then I looked back at Lily. Come with me. She immediately stepped back. My mother told me not to trust you. I nodded slowly. She also gave you that locket. Lily touched the silver pendant. Yes. Then perhaps, I said, she wanted you to find me. Lily stared at me. For the first time, her guarded expression softened. Then she opened the locket. I expected to see Claire's photograph. Instead, there was something else inside. A tiny picture I had never seen before. It showed Claire holding a newborn baby. On the back, written in Claire's handwriting, were 4 words that made the entire world stop. His name is Ethan. The photograph trembled slightly between my fingers. Claire was holding a newborn baby. Her face looked tired, but there was a softness in her eyes that I had not seen in years. I stared at the tiny face wrapped in a pale blue blanket, then looked at Lily. Where did you get this? I asked. It was in my mother's things. Lily watched me carefully. She kept it in a box. I looked again at the writing on the back. His name is Ethan. My name. Not Lily's. Not Claire's. Mine. For 6 years, I had believed Claire died with every important truth already between us. Now, on a cold Chicago evening, a 9-year-old girl was showing me evidence that my entire understanding of my marriage had been incomplete. When was this picture taken? I asked. Lily thought for a moment. Mom said it was a long time ago. Do you know where? She shook her head. She never told me. I turned the photograph over again. The handwriting was unmistakable. Claire's letters had always leaned slightly to the right, as if every word were trying to move toward the next one. I had seen that handwriting on birthday cards, grocery lists, and notes she used to leave beside my coffee in the morning. My thumb traced the edge of the photograph. Did your mother ever talk about your father? Lily lowered her eyes. Sometimes. My heart began to beat harder. What did she say? She said he did not know I existed. I closed my eyes for a moment. The street around us seemed strangely quiet. 6 years ago, Claire had died believing I did not know something. But what? And why had she carried this secret alone? I opened the rear door of the SUV. You should come somewhere warm. Lily did not move. Where? My house. She looked at me with the same careful expression she had worn since I first approached her. Is it safe? I looked at her. Yes. She studied my face. My mother said you had a lot of people around you. I nodded. That is true. She said you were important. I almost laughed, but there was no humor in it. Your mother knew me better than most people ever did. Lily finally stepped toward the SUV. She climbed inside, holding the locket tightly against her coat. I followed and sat across from her. As the vehicle pulled away from the curb, the city lights slipped across the windows like silent stars. Neither of us spoke. Then Lily asked, Did you love my mother? I looked out the window. For 6 years, I had avoided that question whenever it appeared in my own mind. More than I knew how to explain. Lily looked down at the locket. She loved you too. I turned toward her. How do you know? She reached into her coat and pulled out a folded piece of paper. Because she wrote it here. My hands went still. May I see it? Lily hesitated, then gave me the paper. I unfolded it slowly. There were only 3 lines. Claire's handwriting. Claire's words. And at the bottom was the sentence that made me realize the truth was much bigger than a secret child. Ethan, if you ever find Lily, it means I was right to be afraid. The words stayed in my mind long after I finished reading the note. If you ever find Lily, it means I was right to be afraid. I read the sentence again, hoping the meaning would change. It did not. I folded the paper carefully and looked across the back seat. Lily was watching the city through the window. She seemed calm, but I could see her fingers resting over the locket. Where is the box your mother kept? I asked. Lily looked at me. I do not have it anymore. What happened to it? A man came after Mom died. My attention sharpened. What man? She shook her head. I do not know his name. He asked about my mother. I felt the old instincts of my life returning, but I pushed them aside. Lily was not a problem to solve. She was a child who had already carried too many unanswered questions. Did he take anything? I asked. Only the box. I looked out the window. 6 years of memories suddenly felt different. Claire had not simply hidden a child from me. She had prepared for something. She had left instructions. She had kept photographs. She had written letters. And somehow, she had expected that one day Lily might find me. The SUV turned into the long driveway leading to my house. The gates opened slowly, and Lily looked through the window at the large stone home beyond them. "You live here?" she asked. "Yes. It is bigger than I thought." I smiled faintly. "I suppose it is." Inside, the house was quiet. Too quiet. For years, I had filled it with expensive furniture, polished floors, and rooms that nobody used. Claire had once complained that the place felt like a museum. I had told her we would make it warmer someday. We never did. Lily stepped into the foyer and looked around. Then she stopped. Her eyes had fixed on a framed photograph near the staircase. Claire was standing beside me, smiling at the camera. Lily walked closer. "That is my mom." Her voice was barely above a whisper. I stood beside her. "Yes." She pointed at Claire's hand. "She is wearing the same necklace." I looked at the photograph. The locket rested against Claire's dress. The same locket Lily now held. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then Lily asked the question I had been avoiding. "Why did she leave me?" I turned toward her. "I do not think she left you." "Then why did she let me believe she was all I had?" I had no answer. "Not yet." I walked toward the study, opened a locked drawer, and removed a small wooden box. Inside were Claire's letters. I had kept every one. Lily stood beside me as I placed the box on the desk. "Maybe your mother left something here," I said. I opened the first envelope. Nothing. The second. Nothing. Then I reached the final letter, the one Claire had written 2 weeks before she died. My hands felt cold. I opened it. There was only one sentence on the page. "Ethan, if Lily is with you now, do not trust Victor Hale." I stared at the name. Victor had been beside me for 20 years. He had been my advisor, my oldest friend, and one of the few people Claire had trusted. I slowly looked at Lily. She was still holding the locket. And suddenly, I understood that the secret Claire had buried was not only about Lily. It was about someone who had been standing in my life all along. The name Victor Hale stayed on the page long after I stopped reading. I had known Victor for 20 years. He had stood beside me through business deals, family dinners, and every difficult decision that had shaped my life. Claire had trusted him. I had trusted him. And now her handwriting was telling me not to. Lily stood quietly across the study, watching my face. "Who was Victor?" she asked. I closed the letter. "Someone I thought I could trust." She looked at the photograph of Claire on my desk. "Did Mom trust him?" "Yes." Lily lowered her eyes. "Then why did she tell you not to?" I had no answer. I walked toward the window and looked across the dark backyard. Snow had started, falling, thin white flakes disappearing against the glass. 6 years earlier, Claire had stood in this same room and asked me to listen to her. I had been too busy, too convinced that whatever problem existed could be handled later. Later never came. I turned back to the desk and opened another drawer. Inside were Claire's personal papers. I searched through old receipts, photographs, and folded notes until I found a small envelope with no name on it. My hand stopped. The paper was dated 3 days before Claire died. I opened it carefully. There was a single photograph inside. Claire was sitting on a park bench, holding Lily when she was only a baby. But this time, someone else was in the background. Victor. He was standing several yards away, watching them. I looked closer. On the back of the photograph, Claire had written a date and a location. It was the same park where Lily had been selling flowers earlier that evening. Why would Victor be there? I whispered. Lily stepped closer. Maybe Mom knew. Knew what? She touched the locket. That he was looking for us. The room suddenly felt smaller. I sat down and studied the photograph again. Claire had not been careless. She had been leaving clues. Every letter, every photograph, every hidden detail had been part of something she had planned before she was gone. I looked at Lily. Did your mother ever mention a man named Victor? Lily thought for a moment. Not by name. What did she say? She called him Uncle Vic. My stomach tightened. Did you ever meet him? Lily nodded slowly. When I was little. Do you remember him? A little. She looked toward the hallway. He used to bring my mother flowers. I closed my eyes. Victor had brought flowers to Claire every year after her death. I had always thought it was kindness. Now I wondered what those flowers had really meant. Lily reached into her coat and pulled out another folded paper. Mom gave me this before she died. I took it carefully. Why did you not show me this before? Because she told me to wait until I found Ethan. My heart stopped for a moment. I unfolded the paper. Claire's handwriting appeared again. This time, There was no warning. There was a question. Ethan, do you remember the room behind the library? I stared at the sentence. The room behind the library had been locked for 6 years. Claire had always kept the key. After her death, I had never opened it. Lily looked at me. What is in there? I stood slowly. I do not know. Then I remembered something I had forgotten. The night before Claire died, she had asked me to promise one thing. I had promised without asking why. Now, for the first time, I remembered her exact words. If you ever find the truth, Ethan, look where we kept the things we could not say out loud. The locked room behind the library had been part of our house for as long as I could remember, but I had never understood why Claire insisted that nobody enter it. She kept the key on a thin silver chain around her neck. After she died, I searched for that key for weeks. I never found it. Now, standing in the hallway with Lily beside me, I remembered something I had forgotten. Claire had not lost the key. She had taken it with her. I walked into the library and stopped beside the old wooden shelves. Lily followed quietly. Is this where my mother kept her secrets? She asked. I looked at the wall behind the books. Maybe. I ran my fingers along the shelves until I found the one Claire used to pull whenever she wanted a book. I remembered her smile. I remembered the way she would glance over her shoulder before opening it. I pressed the edge. Nothing happened. I tried again. A faint click sounded behind the wall. Lily stepped closer. A narrow section of the bookshelf shifted inward, revealing a small hidden compartment. Inside was a wooden box. My heart began to pound. I lifted it carefully and carried it to the library table. There was no lock, no label, only a faded blue ribbon tied around the lid. Claire's favorite color. I untied the ribbon. Inside were photographs, letters, a hospital bracelet, and a small white envelope. Lily stood beside me, staring at the contents. I picked up the hospital bracelet first. My eyes moved across the printed words. Female. Newborn. The date was 9 years earlier. Lily's birth date. I looked at her. She was staring at the bracelet. 2. That is me, she whispered. I nodded. My voice would not come. Beneath the bracelet was a photograph of Claire holding Lily as a newborn. On the back, Claire had written, My Little Miracle. Then I found something that made my hands go still. Another photograph. This one showed Claire standing beside Victor. They were outside a small hospital. The date was the same day Lily was born. I turned the photograph over. There were 6 words written in Claire's handwriting. Victor helped me keep her safe. I looked at Lily. Your mother trusted him once. Then why did she tell you not to trust him? She asked. That question followed me into silence. I opened the white envelope. Inside was a letter addressed to me. The paper was old, but the handwriting was steady. Ethan, if you are reading this, then Lily has finally found you. I need you to know that I never wanted to keep her from you. I wanted to give you both a chance to live without fear. Victor helped me when I had nowhere else to turn. He protected Lily when I could not. But there is something he never told you. I stopped reading. Lily looked up at me. What does it say? I continued. The night before I died, I discovered that someone had been searching for Lily. I could not stay where we were. I had to make a choice. I trusted Victor with my daughter because I believed he would keep her hidden. But Ethan, if Victor ever tells you that I asked him to keep Lily away from you forever, do not believe him. That was never my wish. My eyes remained fixed on the final line. The truth about Lily is not the secret you should fear. The secret is why Victor was already watching her before I asked him to protect her. I slowly lowered the letter. Lily was silent. Outside, snow tapped softly against the library window. Then I heard footsteps somewhere beyond the hallway. I looked toward the door. Someone was coming. And for the first time that night, I wondered whether Victor already knew that Lily had found me. The footsteps stopped outside the library. Lily looked at me, and I could see the question in her eyes. I placed Claire's letter back inside the wooden box and closed the lid. Stay close. To me, I whispered. A moment later, the library door opened. Victor Hale stepped inside. He wore the same dark coat I had seen him wear 100 times, his silver hair neatly combed, his expression calm. Ethan, he said. Then his eyes moved to Lily. For the briefest moment, something changed in his face. Surprise. Recognition. Then it disappeared. I heard you had company. I stood between him and the little girl. You knew she was here. Victor looked at me carefully. I knew she might find you someday. His answer was too calm. Claire told you to keep Lily away from me. He took a slow breath. Claire asked me to protect her. That is not what her letter says. I held up the paper. Victor's eyes fell to it. He did not ask to read it. That told me enough. You knew about the hidden room, I said. Yes. You knew about the photographs. Yes. You knew Claire was trying to contact me. He remained silent. Lily stepped closer to my side. Why did my mother hide me? Victor looked at her, and for the first time his composure softened. Because she believed you would be safer without your father's name. Lily looked at me. My father. The room became completely still. I had spent hours searching for the truth, but somehow I had never said the word aloud. I knelt beside Lily. Your mother never told you who your father was? Lily shook her head. She said he did not know. I looked at the locket around her neck. Then I looked into her eyes. She was talking about me. Lily stared at me. Her expression did not change at first. Then her lips parted slightly. You are my father? I nodded. I believe I am. She looked down at the photograph inside the locket. Then why did Mom never tell you? I swallowed hard. I do not know, but I intend to find out. Victor quietly placed a folded envelope on the table. She left this for you. I looked at him. Why did you wait until now? Because she told me to give it to you only when Lily was old enough to understand. I opened the envelope. Inside was a photograph of Claire, Lily, and me. I had never seen it before. Claire was standing between us, smiling. On the back were the words, the family I prayed would find each other. My eyes burned. I had spent 6 years believing I had lost my family forever. Instead, Claire had left me a path back to them. But there was another note beneath the photograph. I unfolded it. Ethan, Victor did not betray me. He protected Lily because I asked him to. But I could not tell you the whole truth because I discovered someone close to you was watching our family. I feared that if you knew Lily existed, you would become the target too. I looked at Victor, who was watching her. He lowered his eyes. I never learned the full truth. I stared at him. Then why were you watching her before Claire asked you to protect her? Victor hesitated. That hesitation told me more than any answer could have. Lily reached for my hand. I took it, and in that small moment, I understood something Claire had tried to teach me long ago. Family was not about the name you carried. It was about the person who stayed when the truth became difficult. I looked at Victor again. Tell me everything. He finally met my eyes. Then you need to know what happened the night Claire died. Victor remained silent for several seconds, his eyes fixed on the old photograph in my hand. Lily stood beside me, still holding my fingers. I had spent 6 years believing that the night Claire died was the end of our story. Now I realized it had only been the night everything was hidden. Tell me what happened, I said. Victor looked toward the window. Snow covered the garden outside, turning everything white and still. Claire discovered that someone close to you had been asking questions about Lily, he said. She realized that keeping the child hidden was no longer enough. She needed to disappear too. I listened without moving. Why did she not come to me? I asked. Victor lowered his voice. Because she believed you would try to protect her. And if you did, the people watching her would know where Lily was. I looked at Lily. She was listening quietly. So Claire left me because she thought she was protecting us? Victor nodded. She loved you, Ethan. That never changed. I looked down at the photograph of Claire holding Lily. 6 years ago, I had mistaken silence for rejection. I had mistaken distance for the end of love. Now every unanswered question had a different meaning. What happened next? I asked. Victor reached into his coat and removed a small cassette recorder. Claire gave me this the night before she disappeared. I stared at the recorder. You kept it for 6 years? She told me to give it to you only when Lily was safe. I pressed the button. Static filled the room. Then Claire's voice came through the small speaker. I froze. I had not heard her voice in 6 years. Ethan, she said softly, if you are listening to this, then you have found Lily. My eyes closed. Her voice sounded exactly as I remembered it. Warm, calm, familiar. I am sorry I could not tell you everything. I wanted to. Every day, I wanted to walk through that door and tell you that we had a daughter. But I was afraid that knowing would put you both at risk. Lily moved closer to the recorder. Claire continued. Lily is not a secret because I am ashamed of her. She is a secret because she is the most precious thing I have ever protected. I looked at my daughter. The word still felt new. Daughter. Ethan, there is one thing I need you to understand. If you ever find Lily, do not make her carry the weight of our past. Let her choose who she wants to become. Do not give her your anger. Do not give her your fear. Give her the life we once dreamed about. The recording paused. Then Claire's voice returned, quieter than before. And if you are still the man I married, you will understand that protecting her does not mean controlling her. I lowered my head. Those words hurt because they were true. I had spent years believing protection meant having control over everything around me. Claire had always seen it differently. She believed protection meant giving someone the freedom to live without fear. The recording ended. Lily looked at me. She loved you. I nodded. Yes. Then she asked the question I had been avoiding since the moment she stepped into my life. Do you love me? I looked into her eyes. There was no hesitation this time. I do not know how to make up for the years I missed, I said. But I know I want to spend the years ahead getting to know you. Lily reached up and held the locket between us. For the first time, it did not feel like evidence of something I had lost. It felt like the beginning of something I could still protect. Then Victor spoke from behind us. There is one more thing Claire wanted you to know. I turned toward him. What? Victor looked at the recorder. She knew who had been watching Lily. Victor looked at the recorder as though he could still hear Claire's voice inside it. She knew who was watching Lily, he repeated. Then tell me who. He hesitated. Claire believed it was someone inside your organization. The words settled heavily in the room. I thought about every person who had stood beside me over the years. Every meeting. Every private conversation. Every moment when Claire had gone quiet after someone entered the room. Who did she suspect? I asked. Victor looked at Lily, then back at me. She never gave me a name. I frowned. You said she knew. She knew the person had access to information about your family. She knew someone had discovered Lily existed. But Claire was careful. She did not want to put the name in writing. I walked to the library window. The snow had grown heavier. Beyond the glass, the garden lights blurred into soft circles. Then what did she leave? I asked. Victor pointed toward the wooden box. The answer is in there. I opened it again. Photographs. Letters. The hospital bracelet. Claire's notes. I examined each piece slowly until Lily reached for one photograph near the bottom. This, she said. It showed Claire standing outside a small apartment building. Beside her was Victor. In the background was a familiar black sedan. My sedan. I recognized it immediately. When was this taken? I asked. Victor looked at the date. 2 months before Claire died. I stared at the photograph. Someone had been following Claire long before the night she disappeared. Lily turned the photograph over. There was another message. He already knows. I felt a chill move through me. Who is he? I asked. Victor shook his head. I do not know. I almost laughed at the absurdity of it. After 6 years, I had finally found my daughter, heard my wife's voice again, and discovered that the person Claire feared might still be somewhere inside my world. But Lily was standing beside me. That changed everything. I no longer wanted revenge. I wanted answers. I wanted her safe. I wanted to understand the woman who had spent her final years protecting a child I never knew existed. I knelt beside Lily. You have been carrying this alone for a long time. She nodded. Mom said I should keep the locket close. I touched the silver pendant gently. Why? Lily opened it and showed me the tiny photograph inside. Then she turned it over. There was a faint line beneath the image that I had never noticed before. Look. I leaned closer. Hidden beneath the photograph was a second message, written in Claire's handwriting. The truth is where Ethan never looked. I stared at the words. Then I understood. Claire had not hidden the truth in another city. She had not buried it somewhere impossible to find. She had hidden it in the one place I had avoided for 6 years. Our old bedroom. I looked toward the staircase. Lily followed my gaze. What is upstairs? She asked. The room where your mother and I used to sleep. Victor remained silent. I picked up the wooden box and closed it. Stay with me. We walked upstairs together. The hallway was dark except for the pale light coming through the windows. I stopped outside the bedroom door. My hand rested on the handle. I had not opened that door since the morning Claire died. For 6 years, I had believed I was protecting myself by keeping it closed. Now I realized Claire had been waiting for me to open it.